Hi. Recently I was asked if I'd saved the measurements to modify a set of bars to fit the T120. I hadn't, but seeing as I still possessed the original bars, it was just a case of remeasuring them. Just how to deliver the measurements was another issue, so here's my attempt. Currently, the image is of the underside of the right hand grip, and it's showing the cutout and the holes in the underside. This is a more detailed view of the cutout on the right hand side, and here are the measurements for that cutout. This is showing the two holes on the underside of the right hand grip, and here again are the dimensions for drilling those holes. You do need an elongated hole because you've got to get an electrical connector through there. The 6mm hole appears to serve two purposes to me. One, it appears to prevent the switchgear from twisting around the handlebar when you open and close the throttle, because I don't suppose you can rely on it gripping the bar that tightly. But I also think it's there to make sure that the brake fluid reservoir remains level and isn't tilted forward or backward. So it's a good idea to drill that hole. I know on one website someone suggested just filing the peg off, but it's not something that I'd recommend doing. For the sake of drilling a hole to get the peg to fit into, it's not worth the risk. So I'd recommend going for the hole rather than filing the peg off the switch gear. This is the left hand side, just a general view showing the cutout and a couple of the holes. This is a closer shot of the cutout, and it's a lot simpler than on the right hand side. Here's another shot of the slot on the left hand side, and it shows the threaded metal plug that's in the end of the handlebar, which if you're fitting bar end mirrors or caps, you will need to fabricate something to replace it. Here's the dimensions for the slot on the left hand side. This photo is showing one of the threaded holes on the left hand side. There it is again, and there are the dimensions for drilling those threaded holes. Here's a shot of the elongated hole on the left hand side, and as I said earlier, it's got to be elongated because you've got to poke an electrical connector through there up into the handlebar, and if it isn't elongated you won't get the damn thing in. And there's the dimensions for the elongated hole. Right then, this next shot is showing the bottom clamp on the headstock, the fork clamp, and what is circled is the stop for the full lock. And what you'll discover is that if you fit lower bars, you run a risk of at least the left hand switchgear smashing into the petrol tank. So to prevent this happening, I looked at ways of reducing the full lock on the bike. The original idea was to drill and tap that cast stop on the bottom clamp and put some small studs in, but that was going to be a major task, so as a stopgap I simply degreased them and stuck a couple of bits of plastic sheet on with double-sided tape, and quite frankly they've been on now for 2 years and they haven't budged. So I haven't done anything else about it, but they do prevent the handlebars from coming into contact with the fuel tank, which is the last thing you want to have happen. And just one other thing to take into consideration if you're planning on fitting different bars. You can get away with fitting lower bars because all the wiring and the hydraulic pipes and things are long enough to reach. But if you're planning on fitting taller or wider bars, then you're going to struggle, because none of that stuff's going to reach, and it's going to be a major task, not something that I'd fancy tackling. But as I say, fitting the flat bars that I fitted, the Vincent pattern flats, everything reached perfectly. There was no problems at all. So it's just a case of getting busy with your saw and your files and whatever other tools you've got. Right, I'll see you.